Students numbering over 30 from the University of Professional Studies Accra, formerly IPS, will not be graduating. Now, these students claim this is due to negligence from the school's administration. These students have their transcript indicating that they are qualified to graduate. So what went wrong? This is today's big story. My name is Brian, and for this is the big story for today. The Institute of Professional Studies, now called the University of Professional Studies Accra, will be holding its 5th graduation ceremony this Saturday. However, for some unfortunate students of the university, they won't be graduating with their colleagues, and they claim their names were omitted from the list, and that was released on Monday, spelling out qualified students who will be graduating. Now, we are glad to be joined on phone lines with some of these aggrieved students who claim that the fault is from the university authorities. Now, we're keeping their names away from the public for fear of being victimized. Now, thanks so much for joining me. Now, tell me, why is the university telling you you will not be among those who will be graduating this Saturday?
Okay, thank you very much, Bryce, and thank you and good evening to your viewers as well. I wish I could really give a specific answer to that. Unfortunately, I can't. But what I can say is that I think over the last month or so, I have been chasing out. You know, when the results were released, I tried to access my results online, but I realized that my results didn't appear. So I followed up to the exam center at the university. And then I was told that, okay, my results didn't appear because it wasn't entered. So I had to follow up to the lecture. And I've been doing that. I've done that, and I realized that some of the lectures have entered into it. But a particular course, my lecturer hasn't been able to do that. So I followed up several times. Just yesterday, I was on campus. So when the list for graduation came, my name didn't come up. So I went back to the lecturer and said, sir, my name didn't turn up like he promised it would turn up. So he said he would work on it, that I should go. So I left back home. Then I waited for a while. It wasn't working. So I had to follow up. I followed up. For the past 2 weeks, I've been going to the school consistently to make sure that at least when the supplementary list comes up, my name will turn up on it. Unfortunately, yesterday I was told the supplementary list came out. It didn't work. So I went to the lecturer again. I said, sir, it didn't come. So he said that he had worked on what he had to work. I was there yesterday when he sent a lady to take my exam results and my interim assessment results to the exam center so it be entered. Later, I followed up to the one in charge of that, and she then tells me that, to be very honest with you, you can't be graduating. And I said,
tell me, how many of you, information we have indicates that about 30 of you find yourself in this situation. Is that correct?
I can tell you that there are lots of students on campus who are facing those challenges. Yesterday, I met a few guys who are having the same challenges. Unfortunately, no one can tell you exactly what the problem is. Some of them will tell you that, okay, some of them have their names on the master list, but their names are not appearing on the graduation list. Nobody, if they followed up to they'll tell you to go to the faculty office. If you go to the faculty office, they'll say your name is there, but they don't know the reason why, and that you can't graduate. And nobody is exactly telling you what really the problem is. So that if they have told you that, okay, my brother, this is the reason why we are not able to put you on the graduation list, then you would work towards resolving that problem.
Right. Hold the line. Don't drop your line. Let me try and speak to a guardian. He's also worried because of the very same issue. And thanks so much for speaking to us. Now, this situation has come to your attention. Now, how worrying is it, looking at the fact that the graduation is expected this Saturday?
Hello. The issue is that it came to my notice a couple of weeks ago that some students haven't been able to access their results and stuff online. I mean, I'm a part of a group who advocates for students. The issue is that I followed up this issue since Monday, and some students have their transcript or their information correct, yet when they go to the school, they can't actually pinpoint that because of this you are not being graduated. Fortunately, I spoke to a couple of students. I got their transcript, which I have photocopies in my possession. If you are not going to graduate a student, then why? And you're saying that the excuse you are giving is they have issues with their results. Then why do they have a full transcript which has no problem with it? Secondly, if you are not going to graduate a student, why do you then tell a student that, oh, come next week? What you know that by next week the congregation would have passed. Then you tell a student that come next week. When you come next week, you come and pay for your certificate, and after your certificate, you have paid for it, you'll be given a certificate.
So
it's totally understandable.
You're claiming that these students involved, some of them have transcript.
Yes, they have transcript, they have all their information correct. Nobody in the school, I mean, it's an undeniable fact that some of them don't have their information right, but most of them don't have their information right. So how can a staff or somebody's negligence, how can these students pay for somebody's negligence at the school? I spoke to a student who called the parents to come from Nkawie in the Ashanti region, and she is saying that how is she going to tell her parents who have paid her fees for the past 4 years, thousands of CDs, and say that I'm not going to graduate at this Saturday, but I would have to work in one day and collect my certificate. And the students were crying. How do you answer for that? And that goes on in our universities.
Now, hold the line. We'll try and reach the authorities of the university. Let me speak to one of the students on the other line. Now, the information we have from the university indicates that some of the students who will not be able or will not be allowed to graduate have not been able to satisfy all requirements needed to be awarded a degree. Can you react to this?
Yeah, you see, the problem with that kind of information is that if you go to the school and you're having a problem, I am not saying that is not a possibility, it's a possibility.
Right.
But if I am facing a problem with my result, or I am having a challenge and I'm not meeting the graduation requirement, you would tell me that this is the problem that I am facing, and so I have to work on it and then I'll solve it. But if I am not having that problem, and that's not the problem that I am facing at all. The problem that I am facing is not about me not meeting the graduation requirements, because I have taken the exams that I was supposed to take. I have done the interim assessment that I was supposed to do. I am not the one who will record those marks. It's the university that does that. And so if the university is unable to, for one reason or the other, unable to record it in time, I don't know how that comes to affect my results, and that affects my graduation.
So your argument is that you have satisfied every requirement, and that perhaps the fault is from university authorities' inability to perhaps input your results at the right time.
Exactly. That is exactly the problem that most of us are facing. You see, that is peculiarly my problem. But can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying that is exactly the problem that's exactly the challenge that I am facing. But there are other students who are not even facing that challenge at all, but who are not graduating. They have their results already entered. They have their results online. They have assessed them. They have their transcripts, like the other gentleman was saying. They have it in their palms. And yet nobody can tell them exactly the problem why you're not graduating.
The response from the university authorities, is it positive? How are they responding to some of these?
I have been in that school for about 5 years now, and I know how much the university authorities are working hard to ensure that IPS meets international standards. But when you have problems and you go to the offices where these problems have to be solved, it looks as though you are giving them you're giving them problems. I don't want to be coming to the offices with a problem. I want my problem solved. And yet, if you come, they'll ask you to come the following day and ask you to come the following day. And anytime you turn up, it becomes a burden for them. Yesterday, when I spoke with a lady, she asked me not to enter into her office and I don't know where else to go to. If I have a problem, I'll come to you and you would help me solve the problem. And I believe that's the reason why they are there. but it looks as though we're giving them problems. You're giving them challenges. If you have a challenge and you come to them, those of them who will solve your challenge for you are the very people who are not welcoming. Sometimes it's unbelievable.
Right.
It's unbelievable. You don't get it.
Thanks so much. Let me drop your line. I'll be speaking to some other students, but first of all, I want to quickly get to the university authorities. But the parent student advocate is still on the line. Let me drop the line of the student and try and get to the university authorities to react to this. But the parent student advocate is there. Now, how far have you gone in getting this issue resolved with the university authorities?
What I did initially to make sure that the information reaching me was correct, because we students sometimes have problems.
Right.
What I did first was that to cross-check on their transcript if they have problem on it. I cross-checked, they didn't have a problem. I told them, report it to your SRC president or SRC authority to forward it to the authorities. I spoke to the SRC president myself. He told me I should call him back in 5 minutes. Called him the whole day. He hasn't been able to pick up. What I did next is to tell the students that they should go to the administration and make a report. They did. I have about now, as I speak with you, I just saw on my iPad, they have forwarded the transcript to me. And some of these students, about 8 of them, as I'm speaking with you, have no problem. Why can't they tell them that it's because of this that we can't graduate you? So one student is saying that one of the authorities are saying that if they cannot be graduated, the student suggested, why wouldn't they print because their name is not in the list, why can't they print it and add it with for them?
Right. Hold on. Hold on. I'll come back. Let me speak to George Quarter, if I got the name right, the Dean of Accounting and Finance of the University of Professional Studies. Thanks so much for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, first of all, some students are claiming that the university will not allow them to graduate, even though they have satisfied every requirement. Is that correct?
Well, it's not correct. I don't know the requirements they are talking about. But at least we have our requirements, we have our standards, we have our guidelines. So when it's satisfied, you graduate.
The suggestion here from you is that they have not satisfied the requirements.
Yeah.
Is it possible for a student who has not satisfied all requirements to get a transcript for the university?
Again, please.
I'm asking that, is it possible for a student who has not satisfied all requirements to get a transcript from the university?
A transcript?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're entitled to a transcript.
Even if you have not satisfied all requirements?
Yes, but not graduation. The transcript, you are entitled to transcripts.
Now, these students who are complaining, what are some of the requirements that they have not satisfied?
Well, I don't really know the specific what do you call it. Well, I don't really know the specific problem, but let me just quickly take you through just mention some few things. You know, when you take our handbook, we have our quality assurance processes. When you take our handbook, for instance, we spell out clearly the criteria for graduation.
Right.
What would cause you to graduate and what will cause you not to graduate. I mean, if you get S, you get we have all the criteria. So the students are able to, at least they can calculate and they know what is required of them.
Right.
Now, secondly, we also give them, we make available their transcripts online right from level 100. So at any point in time, for instance, the student can be monitoring his performance, and he can appreciate whether he's on the path to graduation, he's on the path to whether he's going to be withdrawn or whatever it is.
Right.
So they have their transcripts, online. Before where the students have got problems, like, ICs and etc., anytime we finish the results, we publish them, and we publish, before graduation, we publish a list of the students with ICs, and we call them and ask them, to rectify it. I mean, they don't have to talk to their lecturers, wherever the problem is. So we give them, adequate, time to, handle this.
Right.
Equally, before the students graduate, we have a board of examiners, meeting, and we have composition coming, we have people coming from outside, as part of the board of examiners. We critically scrutinize, the people who are graduates and people who are not graduates. We look at the reasons, and we begin to inform the students, right? Apart from they having the information already, or they are supposed to have the information, we begin to inform them. We give them access to their HODs and their stand registrants, so that they can always, find out what their problem is if they are not graduating, and if it's possible for them to, correct them. Again, we publish the graduating list, and we give, 21 days before, graduation.
Right.
Before the ceremony, so that if any student has got any problem, for instance, you can come to the deans or the HODs and sort it out, with them. Then finally, the list goes to the academic board, and we analyze people who are not graduating. The HODs and the deans would have to defend, you understand, defend why they are not graduating. And so you see, the process is very, tough.
Right. So, Mr. Korte, you're saying that the current year, you are sure that some students will not graduate due to certain or due to their inability to fulfill certain requirements?
Yes.
Do you have the number of those who are not graduating at your fingertips?
No, I don't have. At my fingertips.
Right. But are you also aware that when the list was released, some students who had problems came and were told that a supplementary list is coming and that their names will be on it?
Yeah.
And what has happened to those students?
No, we didn't say that their names were going to be on it. Like I was saying, we're in the process, because when the list comes out first, you have people with ICs, right? So because of still within the 21 days, for instance, the students, for instance, have got IC, for instance, they have to, go and talk to their HODs and find out the reasons for their ICs. So if it's something which can be resolved, for instance, it's spread and it comes onto the supplementary list. So we don't tell them that the list will be on the. It depends on the product that you have. If, for instance, the first list, the student's name is not on it because he didn't meet he didn't meet the minimum, credit, required. There's no way by which a supplementary list will come and you come onto it. You understand? So it's not too much. It depends on the risk that you have. Yeah.
Right, Mr. Korte, let me cut in rudely here. If for a reason results of examinations get to where they should get to late, not because the students delayed, but because either lecturers or those responsible for sending these results to whichever source delayed, whose fault is it?
No, that is what I'm saying. That those reasons which could be attributed to us, which of course could create we make sure that we cleared all of them. Do you understand? We make sure that because.
So how many have you cleared? Because graduation is Saturday, due to negligence on the part of the university administration. Has anything like that come to your attention?
I don't think that we have anything which is due to the negligence of the university.
Now, those students who will not be able to graduate because they are unable to satisfy all requirements, within which time frame do you inform them before the day of graduation?
That is why I'm saying that the processes, it even starts from, it starts from the first time the student even enters, the university. So, for instance, if you have, for instance, IC in level 100, for instance, right?
Mr. Korte, we might not have all the time, but what I'm saying is that the graduation is this Saturday. I want to know, At which time were these students informed that they can't graduate?
He said, at what point in time?
Were these students informed that they can't graduate?
Well, the processes are such that the students, right from, day one, because, you see, by the time you get to level, if you are in level 300, for instance, if you have any IP and you know that, and you have access to your online transcript, right? And you've not cleared your IC, you should definitely know that you can't graduate.
No, so the university has not informed.
Let me finish here.
Okay, go ahead.
Apart from that, we have what you call the minimum credit, hours that students are supposed to, fulfill. So if you have your transcript and the results come out, you understand, even way before we even start working on, the graduation, the students would know that because you couldn't meet the minimum requirement or you got an F somewhere, you know that you can't graduate.
Okay, so the university does not officially inform those who cannot graduate. The university does not officially inform them. That is what you are saying.
No, we do that. We do that by publishing the the list. We publish the list to those who can graduate.
When is this list?
That the processes are such that right from day one, you become aware of whether you are graduating or you are not graduating, because you see the handbook is over there.
Right.
You understand? The handbook is over there to guide you. Your transcript is over there to guide you. So at the end of the day, even at level 400, for instance, a lot of the students know that they are not graduating, and I mean, they have to go and tell them that they are not graduating. What we do is that we publish the list of those who are graduating. You understand? And I mean, for them to prepare for the congregation and register and all those sort of things.
Right. So this list that is published for those who are graduating, when is it done? For instance, your graduation is on Saturday. When was this list out?
Well, the first list came out. That was 21 days. That was 1st November. Yeah, we published it 1st November. It was online. It was on the notice board. Yeah.
And when it was done, you didn't get any student coming in to make complaints?
Yeah, we had students coming in to make complaints.
And all of them were cleared?
Yes, for all those who make complaints, for instance, they had genuine complaints, for instance, they've been cleared. Some people, for instance, at least it's like they don't monitor what is happening. So when they come, for instance, we explain by graduation and they get satisfied.
Okay.
It could be perhaps they had an IC or they got an F somewhere, or perhaps they didn't meet the minimum requirement and you have to do a research, etc. I mean, they come and we explain to them.
Right. Mr. Kwade, let me put a student who is holding a transcript in his hands and who claims that the transcript does not show that he or she has not satisfied any of the requirements. And let's see what he will tell us. Now, there's a guardian, a student advocate, who, for instance, says that there are several of these students who have transcript that has no problem at all with it, and yet they cannot graduate. Now, if you are there, tell me exactly, how many of these students have these transcripts?
Okay, let me quickly explain to this. You see, when you take the transcript that we have, the transcript, that you have to relate the transcript to the handbook. You understand? Because the transcript gives the figures, but then the interpretation is in the handbook. You understand? So some of the students keep on reading the handbook, so they know what the transcript means.
Right.
On the other hand, for instance, some of the students do not relate the transcript to the handbook. Because you have to do your calculation and find what your CGPA is and find out whether the CGPA will fit into it will cause you to graduate or not.
Right.
But if you get all the transcript, assuming that you get CCC, etc. Yes, I mean, C is a pass, etc. But then you realize that you're going to fall short of the minimum requirement. So you can have your perhaps C, C, D, extra, and you can be rejoicing because you've not had an F. Are you getting me?
Right.
And you'll be rejoicing, but you don't get to the transcript and check what the transcript says in terms of the your CGPA, etc. You're disappointed.
Right. Mr. Potter, hold the line. Yeah. Now, hold the line. Let me speak to one of the students, a parent and a guardian. He's also a student advocate. Now, if you can hear me from the other line, the concern is that the transcript does not necessarily mean you're going to graduate. There could be a problem with the figures, or let me say the passes on the transcript.
That is totally right. When you have a transcript and you have a problem with it, and you go to the school authorities, the problem will be rectified or it will be explained to you. The students I am talking about in this particular case, they had their transcript yesterday. They had a problem with it when the first list was published. The lecturers are telling them that the problem has been rectified.
And yet they can't graduate.
Yes, they can graduate. I want you to ask the dean of students.
Hold it. Mr. Quarty, has this come to your notice? Students with problems on transcript rectified, and yet they can't graduate.
Well, so long as I'm concerned, I've not had, we've not had issues, with that, because I have my
nothing like that has come to your notice. The notice the notice of the university.
No, that's not come to what you call it, my notice. I don't know the department in which he's got, but at least with the processes that we've gone through, for instance, we've not had any dean, reporting that we have, such what you call it, such a problem. That's why I'm saying that the best thing is perhaps the student comes to, the faculty officers, it goes to the HOD. If it's Western or whatever it is, at least come to the dean's, notice. So we need to know the particular, problem. And the specific problem, and who he spoke to, otherwise, sometimes, like I said, people don't normally relate the transcripts to what you call the handbook, because the transcripts are figures, but then the handbook gives the interpretation to the figures.
Right. So you are assuring that even if there's a problem on the transcript, it could be resolved before Saturday. Is that an assurance?
I didn't get you well.
I'm asking that. For instance, students whose transcript showed some challenges, some problems, and that were rectified, and you said the university has no notice of that. If it turns out that tomorrow they come to the university, can the problem be rectified so that they can graduate on Saturday?
No, whatever the problem is, at least we have to know what the problem is. So if it's a problem that,
Mr. Quarter, you're not answering my question. Mr. Quarter, you're not answering my question. I'm asking, can the problem rectify between now and Saturday before the graduation?
Well, the university has got a timeline, right? And for now, I don't know what the problem is. But if you are talking about a graduation list, for instance, the graduation list has gone to the press, we published. We have timeline. So I don't really know the problem that he's talking about. We have to know what the problem is. And if there's any provision that we would have to, if it's critical, we have to look at any provision, we look at it. But as of now that we are discussing, I don't even know what the problem is.
Thank you so much for speaking to Mr. George Quarty, Dean of Accounting and Finance. Go ahead. Let's wrap up. Right.
I sincerely have a problem with what the Dean of Students is saying. How can you, the Dean of Students, come and tell us that you don't know?
Hello?
Yeah.
Well, I've lost one of them there on the phone lines, and of course, we'll need to get more of this later on. Over 30 students of the University of Professional Studies cannot graduate. According to them, their transcript are all right. They have problems on it. It's been rectified, and yet they cannot graduate. We'll get you more of this later on, but of course, we'll be getting more details later on subsequent bulletins. We're wrapping up the first segment of today's big story, and don't forget, we'll be talking about Ghana's Public Transport Day. Today is Ghana's Trotro Day. How excited are you when you join public transport? Lady Marianne will be joining me here. We'll be staying interactive with you on this very particular issue. Stay with me. I'm coming back in a moment. Welcome back, and it's public transport day. A lot of people are still talking about the budget and the fact that the president and his appointees have agreed to have a 10% pay cut. I am thinking about talking about 20%.
Exactly. So we've actually been asking people what they propose it should have been, because 10% is like
possibly 50%.
For a public servant, especially when you wanted to be voted into power to help your people, 50% won't be bad.
Because I think the Bible talks about giving and giving generously.
Exactly.
So if you have 2 cities that you want to give, give 1 cedi 90 pesos.
If we're going according to the Bible, then they are giving us their tithe, 10%.
So you'll be talking about the budget issues today.
Yes, we will be talking about it.
It's been trending on the media,
been trending,
social media platforms.
You know, because it happened, and then the football also came up, so it got swallowed. But today, the ball is over, everything is clear, we can see beyond the woods now, and everybody says, okay, let's sit down and dissect it.
Maria, welcome once again to the show.
Thank you so much. Let's get interactive. My name is Marian Toure. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are talking about the budget statement which was read yesterday, especially the 10% increment. I'd like to announce all the social media tools that you need to get in touch with the show. Facebook.com/joynewsontv. If you are there, please like our page and then comment on everything that's there, and then we'll share it with the rest of the world. If you're on Twitter, we tweet at JoyNewsOnTV, and remember to use the hashtag JNInteractiveGH when you send your tweets, so that we'll be able to sort everything all out at once and then share it with the rest of the world, just like you would want us to do. And if you're sending us an email, use joynewsim@multitvworld.com. Send your WhatsApps to 0260518801. And I am on Twitter too. I tweet at MN Toure. And as always, JN Interactive is where tech meets news to set the agenda. So if you look at stories that are trending today, most of the stories that are trending today are all about the budget. 10% pay cut for executive, significant but said Tekbe. And then I am hoping that this can mirror on your screen so that you see what I'm also seeing right now. These are stories that are trending, at least a few of it that you can also see. It's replicated throughout all the other, news portals that we have looked at particularly today. But for those of you who missed the budget yesterday, I'd like for you to listen to this one. Mr. Tekbe, who is finance minister for Ghana, actually explaining what the 10% was going to be used for. Let's take a listen to our first video blog.
In the spirit of the publishing from home, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, his Vice President, ministers and appointees have decided to take a voluntary 10% pay cut for 2014. The amount, Mr. Speaker, the amount to be members, I hope you respect the chair. Other members, I hope you respect the chair. Mr. Speaker, the amount to be deducted by the Comptroller and Accountant General will be paid into a fund to be dedicated to a special purpose chip compound to focus on maternal and neonatal health.
So that is it for those of you who didn't hear it yesterday. This is a playback for you to hear just what the minister was talking about. So we've been out there because, hey, the show is nothing without you. We've been out there and we are asking for your views on it. And we are asking whether you think the 10% is enough or you would want something more. Let's take our next video blog.
For me, it's enough, at least. But they are still getting their money, though. It's like, is it a bill or something like just for a year? That's my problem. If it's going to be for a year, it's a problem. But if it's going to be for a lifetime, I mean, it's good for the country. At least for maternal mortality, it's not bad.
They know the percentage they can use, but I think that 20% is quite convincing. But they can do more better than that, right?
What about the MPs? You think they should have also done the same thing?
Yeah, they
can do something better. If you are looking at saving costs, there are other measures that they can do other than cutting 10%. 10% is really insignificant. What they can do more is to ask everybody all the ministers and even the president to take the bill for their fuel, all right, and maybe their rent. That one is the big issue.
I think it's enough, and it's also a good step, but I'm not sure it's a sufficient condition to satisfy Ghanaians. If the president wants to satisfy us, then he must fight corruption. Because, for instance, let's take it like now you produce about 10%, and there are millions of cedis going into wrong hands. You see, so it means like although you produce your salary, but it's not still enough for development. So you must fight corruption. Although it's a good step he has taken, because we say leadership by example, and he has done perfectly well, but it's not sufficient.
Welcome back. So we'll take some comments that have been coming in on Facebook, and today our discussion is fivefold. As you can see there, we are asking, is the 10% enough? How much should they have given up? If this is not enough, should MPs also follow suit? Which areas was government silent on? And the budget, as we have seen it, was silent on job creations. Does it mean the government lacks commitment on this issue? And 54 comments have come in the last 10 minutes already, and it is indeed a testament to the fact that the show actually thrives on you, your comments, and what you've got to say. F4 says, all those that is criticizing the 10% pay cut by the government and saying it's too small are big-time hypocrites. After all, they could have decided not to do such a thing, but for the love they have for the country and also to save us from the current hardship, they took this bold step. This is not only to the president, vice and ministers, but all government appointees, including DCEs, ambassadors, aides and the others. Great move from government, and don't be surprised if the majority in parliament follows suit. As for the minority leader, never. Even if you gave him a decade, he would never allow his salary to be cut. Maybe a 10% increase would do for him. Frimpong Holy John says the 10 was not enough. The MPs should also follow suit to save us from these hardships. Marian, today is my birthday. Okay, well, Frimpong, happy birthday to you. You are part of the show. The show thrives on your comments. So, Frimpong Holy John, happy birthday from the entire team of JN Interactive. And Newton Jefford says the 10% is too small. I think it should be 40%, and MPs must also contribute 20% of their salary. As for job creation, I think the youth should create their own jobs and stop depending on the government, because the government is not having the youth at heart. Baba Musa Tamale, for me, I think the government is symbolic. 10% is symbolic enough to send a clear signal to organized labor and other public sector workers to equally sacrifice for Mother Ghana. In this country, we have three arms of government: the executive, legislature, and judiciary. Once the president and his appointees have shown the way or example, I think it is a challenge to our MPs and judiciary to emulate that good gesture. For example, the infrastructure fund from the recent 2.5% VAT increment will also facilitate the rail and road sector development for businesses to grow. Government is committed to creating jobs. That is why the president will soon launch the Youth Enterprise Fund. And thank you for that education, Baba Musa. Simon says, yes, the 10% cut off by government is a bold decision by government to remedy the economic hardship. Good news. Frimpong again says Ghana must grow, and these everyday promises from politicians must stop. The MPs and ministers are taking too much money from the country. Today is my birthday. Please send me a birthday song. And I did. I had the singing part. You don't want to hear that because all the birds will flee their nest. But in a very funny voice, I can say, happy birthday to ya. And I'm sure you can guess who that is, right? We're going to take our next video blog, and we are asking you how much should they have given up if you're thinking the 10% was too little. Let's take our next video blog.
They will take all the allowances, but for 2014, they shouldn't take any salary. That's because I believe that the allowances and all the additional benefit they get is enough to cover for whatever they want to do. So if they really want to show commitment, they shouldn't take any salary for 2014, and then we will see real commitment from them.
The best thing is with the president and the MP, they should join it so that we have a higher percentage. That's the best for the economy because right now everything is being increased. So if the president drops 20%, I think all the MP should join up their percentage, you understand? To make the percentage more high, that would be much better.
Maybe they've already had a meeting on that and they've come to a consensus that this is the way we are going. But I think if they are going that way, at least the whole of Parliament should help because as you can see, there is a lot of problems going on in the country. As they are now dwelling on maternal mortality. At least it shouldn't be only on maternal mortality. At least we should open it a little bit wider to cover certain areas in the health sector.
Welcome back. We'll take some more of your comments that have been coming through on Facebook. Kwesi Ansah Kofi says, in fact, the 10% is very bad and cannot solve even a kilometer road. I also suggest the MPs should do the same. I'm thinking you're thinking about it per person, but cumulatively it's a lot of money and it will do more than just a kilometer. It's about 400 million I'm guessing it's going to be, so it would go a long way. I'll take one more comment before we take our next video blog. Solomon Nuhu says, yes, I think the MPs should also do the same. And we have actually been out asking you in our video blog also whether MPs should do the same. And you've been giving us your view on that. Let's take our next video blog.
MP is not really an individual that should take a pay cut. I mean, we don't really pay them that much. I mean, 7,000 or so is not that much for the MP. It's the cost, the big part of the cost is from the government machinery, and that's where they should look at changing.
You know, they should follow suit because they promise us that they are coming to serve us. So by coming to serve us, it means, you know, like you must sacrifice. And reducing your salary by 10% to support, you know, development is also part of the sacrifice. So I think they should also follow suit. Not only the MPs, but other, you know, government officials, you see, should also follow suit.
Very divided there with your comments. Something they should, something they shouldn't. But let's take some more comments that are coming in. Kobna says that 10% is really not enough at all. It should be 50%. I think if an MP takes 3,000 Ghana cedis or 4,000 Ghana cedis, it is not bad. Bragg, Kujo, Washington. This government lacks everything it takes to rule this humble nation. Lost and confused Ghanaians are too wise to be fooled with this 10% pay cut. God is in heaven watching. Isahako Abdulaziz, good leaders lead by example. I'm sure that's what you're trying to say. Gizman Emmanuelson, at least it symbolizes the fact that Ghana is now a middle-income country, and Ghanaians should know that we need to sacrifice for the betterment of the future. I think it's a good move for the pay cut, and people should stop weighing politics into it. Fifi Jr. says, I suggest we cut the cut-off should be around 20 to 40%. But in all, I appreciate the efforts the government is making, and I hope little by little we will make it. God help our Ghana. Harry says, if it's not enough, then add yours. Thank you very much. Abdul Razak says the 10% cut off is not enough, but should be done without any fear or favor Ambrose says that this government is like a skeleton. And then we should take our last video blog before we go. You know, the budget was ready yesterday, but what we missed was any concrete steps, you know, for job creation to say, okay, we are creating X and Y jobs. Because I'm thinking perhaps all the SADA and the others, the meters and the weeders and all the DAS that were created have created jobs, and so there's no need to say anything more about that. But we're asking, does it mean government lacks commitment on the, you know, job creation front? Let's take our last video blog.
As for job, no, I have a problem with job when it comes to job, especially with this single spine. I have a problem with it. And my problem is that if at least a single spine can, at least the money being given a single spine, if it can at least come down a little bit, so that we can have more employment instead of a little bit of people getting much of the money, while a lot of people are suffering in the society. If the money is being reduced and a lot of people can get employment, it's better than a few people getting the money and the chunk of the people suffering.
People go to national service and they go to rent. With this house and all this, I'm thinking they should, university students during national service should have a building that after when there is national service, they should just go there and, you know, stay instead of going to rent, because you are being paid 2.5 and they will take some tax. So let's say roughly 2 million and you use the same 2 million to rent.
Welcome back. Majid Audu Gushegu says, Marian, even they themselves know that it is enough, because they're the very people who are drying the nation's accounts. Joaquim says, I think the 10% is enough. It's a good example, and even think the majority caucus in Parliament should also do the same to show support to the president. The majority caucus are the NDC, and they are the ones who have done this. So I'm sure you're talking about the minority. I also know the government has commitment towards job creation. And if you read the budget statement, you will find that most of the programs stated in its lead to job creation. So it is not explicit. We have to go look for it to find it. Thank you very much for the education. Gilbert from Bogatanga says, I think 10% cut in the pay of the executive arm of government is commendable, though some may think it is small. Kudos to JDM for such a bold decision. Enoch says, we don't need any 419 reduction. All we need is Mahama and the NDC should send us back to our normal Ghana. We don't want any problem again with the so-called better Ghana. Ishaku says, we love your style of leadership. Awal Muhammad, I am surprised Nitiwo is debating this. He should rather praise the president because it's voluntary. Kweku Opare and Nobia, I think the 10% pay cut is laudable, but the perceived corruption makes it lose its credibility. I hear it is illegal for the president. Educators on that. Christian Salvo, good news from the government. I think that 10% is okay. The MP salary must also go down. Last few comments before we go. Eriram says, well, that 10% can pay a lot of workers on the government payroll, and that is very, very true, coupled with whatever leakages they are blocking at Kolebu. I'm sure that will go a long, long way, and that is where we ended for today. Brighton for joins me so we can wrap up.
And when we come here at 8 o'clock, we'll tell you tragedy in the northern part of the country, precisely Tamale, where a 2-unit classroom block under construction and funded by the Parent-Teacher Association of St. Paul Junior High School collapsed on 2 pupils of the school. Gladly, we'll be telling you that the 2 are responding to treatment at the hospital in Tamale.
Also to expect in news at 8, the Ghana Police Service says it will be stepping up its presence in Accra this Yuletide to ensure criminal activities are discouraged as much as possible. As a result, it's recalling all officers currently on leave and has announced a motorbike patrol system.
Right, so the Yuletide getting ready to come to our homes, and I'm sure people are also getting ready to be part of it.
But you know what I'm dreaming about this Christmas? Do you know what I'm dreaming for Christmas?
What are you dreaming about?
A white Christmas.
I see. Thanks so much for having stayed here for us. We're back here tomorrow. But Jordan's exclusive is coming up right after this show. My name is Bright Manamfo.
And I am Marian Toure. Have a good evening.
Good evening.